the twin suns were setting over the distant planet of Vora, painting the sky in orange and violet colors. The human colony, made of small metal houses and farming fields, was quiet and tense. A strange signal had been received earlier that day, and everyone knew it came from the stars. The humans of this colony were farmers, builders, and a few defenders who kept watch for danger. They were not prepared for a war. Ryan, a quiet man with strong hands and a calm face, stood near the colony's landing platform. He was known for fixing machines and building defenses. While others used strong weapons, Ryan preferred tools and clever traps. Many thought of him as just an engineer, but those who worked closely with him knew he was brave and skilled in his own way. A deep rumble shook the ground. Children clung to their parents, and the defenders raised their weapons. A massive shadow covered the platform as an alien ship descended. Its surface glowed with strange symbols, and its engines hummed like a living creature. The ship's ramp lowered, and a group of tall armored figures stepped out. Their leader walked in front. She was taller than any human, her skin pale silver with faint blue markings across her arms. Her armor shone like polished stone, and her eyes burned with confidence and power. She was Zyra, a warrior princess from a proud alien race called the Caliph. The humans gasped at her presence. Zyra looked at them with a mix of curiosity and disdain. She had been raised among warriors who valued strength above all else. To her, humans were fragile and soft creatures, unworthy of respect. Zyra raised her voice so everyone could hear. My people have watched your colony from above. We have seen the dangers that threaten this land. We offer protection, but only to those who prove their worth. Show us that you are not weak. The crowd murmured nervously. The leader of the colony, an older woman named Mara, stepped forward. We are peaceful settlers, Mara said firmly. We farm, we build, and we defend ourselves as best we can. We do not seek war. Zyra's expression hardened. Peace is for the strong. If you cannot fight, you will fall. If you cannot stand, you will be left behind. She looked over the crowd, clearly unimpressed. Ryan watched silently, his mind calm even as tension grew. He saw the challenge in Zyra's eyes. Mara's voice wavered. And how would you have us prove our strength? Zyra's lips curled into a sharp smile. A test. A single human will join me in the wild lands for one night. At dawn, they must return with proof of survival. If they fail, my people will leave, and you will face the dangers alone. The humans exchanged fearful glances. The wild lands were filled with deadly beasts and poisonous plants. It was a place even trained defenders avoided. No one dared to step forward. Seeing their fear, Zyra turned away with a mocking laugh. As I expected. You are fragile and afraid. Ryan's calm voice cut through the silence. I will go. The crowd gasped. Mara's eyes widened. Ryan, no. You are our engineer, not a fighter. Ryan met Zyra's gaze without flinching. Strength is not only in weapons. I accept your test. For the first time, Zyra seemed surprised. She studied him closely, as if trying to see what gave him courage. Then she laughed again, though there was a hint of interest in her tone. Very well, human. But understand this. I am the finest warrior of my people. You are only a builder. You will not last a single night. Ryan simply nodded. We will see. The other Caliph warriors brought out packs of supplies. Zyra checked her energy blade while Ryan gathered rope, a small knife, and a few tools he had built himself. As the suns dipped lower, the ship carried them above the wild lands. The terrain below was dark and dangerous, with twisting forests and glowing rivers. Before they jumped, Zyra spoke to Ryan with a tone both amused and confident. "Stay close, if you can keep up. I would hate to waste time searching for you." Ryan looked down at the jungle, then back at her. "I'll manage." They landed on the forest floor, the ship flying away to return at dawn. The night air was heavy with strange scents, and distant roars echoed through the trees. Zyra drew her blade, its edge glowing blue. "Follow me," she said, moving swiftly and silently. Ryan followed, studying the plants and paths around them. He marked trails in his mind, already thinking of traps and shelters. As they moved deeper into the wild lands, Zyra's speed and strength were clear. She struck down a creature that lunged at them, hardly breaking a sweat. She glanced back at Ryan with a smirk. "Too slow, human. Try not to fall behind." Ryan did not respond. Instead, he bent to examine the creature's tracks, noting its habits and direction. He understood that brute force would not win this test. As darkness closed in, Zyra remained certain of her superiority, while Ryan quietly planned for the challenges to come. Neither of them knew that by dawn, their views of each other would change forever. The jungle of the wild lands was alive with strange sounds as night fell. Tall black trees twisted toward the sky, their branches glowing faintly with blue light. Thick mist curled around the roots, making the ground slippery and hard to see. Strange insect-like creatures buzzed above, their wings glowing red. Every step felt dangerous. Zyra moved with the confidence of a trained warrior. Her silver armor blended with the dark shadows, and her glowing blade cut through thick vines with ease. She walked ahead without hesitation, her sharp eyes scanning for threats. She had grown up in battlefields far more dangerous than this and believed no creature here could harm her. Ryan followed a few steps behind, quiet and focused. His eyes studied everything: the plants, the ground, and the strange markings on nearby trees. He carried only a rope, a small knife, and a few handmade tools he had built back in the colony. To anyone watching, it looked like he was unprepared. But Ryan relied on his mind more than his muscles. "You walk too slowly," Zyra said without looking back. "If you cannot keep pace, you will only slow me down." Ryan stayed calm. "I walk carefully because I want to return alive. Charging ahead without knowing what is around you is dangerous." Zyra let out a sharp laugh. "Danger is nothing to me. I was trained to face it head on. A human like you cannot understand." Before Ryan could reply, a low growl echoed through the mist. Strange glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. 3 beasts with armored hides and sharp teeth stepped into view. They had long tails tipped with spikes and moved like silent hunters. Without hesitation, Zyra rushed forward. She swung her blade, cutting through the first creature's hide in one strike. The second beast lunged at her, but she dodged and kicked it aside. The third beast turned toward Ryan. Ryan didn't fight it directly. Instead, he grabbed a branch, wedged it between 2 rocks, and used it as a lever to topple a nearby spiked log he had noticed earlier. The log rolled straight into the beast, knocking it off balance. With quick movements, Ryan tied its legs with his rope, immobilizing it. Zyra finished the last beast and turned around, expecting to see Ryan injured or hiding. Instead, she found him calmly tying a knot around the struggling creature. "You trapped it?" Zyra asked, genuinely surprised. Ryan nodded. "Killing isn't always the only answer. Sometimes control is smarter than force." Zyra frowned but said nothing. She cut the trapped creature's throat quickly, unwilling to leave it alive. They continued deeper into the jungle. Zyra remained fast and bold, while Ryan stopped often to mark paths and gather materials. He collected sharp stones, strong vines, and certain plants with healing properties. As the night grew darker, the temperature dropped. The glowing mist thickened until it was hard to see even a few steps ahead. "We need to set up a camp," Ryan said, glancing at the sky. "Traveling blindly will only get us lost." Zyra shook her head. "A true warrior never stops. I will keep moving until dawn." "You can do that," Ryan replied calmly, "but your weapon's power is fading. You've been using it non-stop since we landed." Zyra looked at her glowing blade and saw that its light had grown weaker. She said nothing, unwilling to admit he was right. Ryan found a hollow space beneath the roots of a giant tree. He quickly built a shelter using branches and large leaves, then surrounded it with traps made of rope and sharpened sticks. Nearby, he started a small fire using dry bark and a simple spark tool he carried. "You may rest here or continue alone," Ryan said. "I will stay and wait for dawn." Zyra hesitated. Her pride told her to keep moving, but her instincts warned her about the growing danger in the mist. Finally, she sat near the fire, silent and tense. For a while, they sat quietly. Strange animal cries echoed through the darkness. Zyra's sharp eyes kept scanning the shadows, while Ryan worked on crafting small tools. "You are different from what I expected," Zyra finally said. "Most humans I have seen are noisy and fearful. You are calm." "Fear does nothing to help," Ryan replied. "I focus on what I can control." Zyra tilted her head. "Strength comes from power. That is what my people believe. You seem to think strength comes from the mind." "Both matter," Ryan said simply. "But rushing forward without a plan often leads to failure." Before Zyra could answer, a loud roar shook the jungle. The ground trembled as something massive approached. The firelight flickered, revealing a shadow larger than any creature they had seen so far. Zyra jumped to her feet, blade ready. "Stay behind me, human," she ordered. The enormous beast burst through the trees. Its body was covered in glowing blue armor plates, and its many eyes glowed red. It swung a claw the size of a small tree at them. Zyra struck back fiercely, but the blow sent her crashing into the dirt. The beast roared again and advanced toward her. Zyra tried to rise but stumbled, pain flashing across her face. Ryan's heart pounded, but he didn't panic. He quickly lured the beast toward one of his traps. As it stepped forward, its leg caught in a loop of rope, and a spiked log swung down from above, slamming into its side. The creature howled in pain. Using this moment, Ryan grabbed a sharpened spear he had made earlier and struck the creature's neck with precise force. The beast collapsed with a final growl. Breathing heavily, Ryan rushed to Zyra and helped her stand. She stared at him in shock. "You saved me," she said quietly. "I underestimated you." Ryan gave a small, calm smile. "The night isn't over yet. We need to stay alert." Zyra's pride wavered for the first time. She had entered the jungle certain that she was the superior warrior, but now she saw a different kind of strength in the human beside her. As they sat near the fire again, Zyra silently watched Ryan, realizing that this test might not go as she had expected. The jungle was quiet after the battle, but the silence felt heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Ryan sat near the fire, sharpening his simple spear while Zyra rested against a tree root. Her breathing was steady, but there was a clear wound on her shoulder where the beast's claw had struck her. The silver armor around that area was cracked and bent. "You need treatment," Ryan said as he prepared a mixture of crushed leaves and plant sap he had collected earlier. Zyra looked away, her pride making her stubborn. "I do not need human remedies. My people have advanced medicine aboard our ship." "You don't have your ship now," Ryan replied calmly. "If that wound gets infected, you will be too weak to fight when we need to move again." Zyra's jaw tightened. She wanted to refuse, but deep down, she knew he was right. With a reluctant nod, she allowed him to work. Ryan carefully applied the mixture to her wound and wrapped it with a clean strip of cloth he had brought. His hands were steady and precise, showing skill that surprised her. "You are skilled," Zyra admitted, watching him work. "Not only with traps and tools, but with healing as well." Ryan smiled faintly. "My colony cannot afford to waste lives. Everyone learns a little of everything: building, healing, defending. Survival depends on more than strength alone." Zyra considered his words silently. She had always been told that warriors were the highest form of life, that only those who fought deserved respect. But Ryan's actions challenged everything she had been taught. Before they could speak further, the ground trembled beneath them. A deep rumble came from the distance, growing louder each second. Ryan stood quickly, his senses alert. "That is not a normal creature," he said. "Something big is coming." Zyra forced herself to her feet, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. "Then we fight together." The jungle around them exploded with movement as a swarm of smaller beasts burst through the mist. Their glowing eyes reflected the firelight. Behind them came an even greater danger: a towering reptilian creature with 6 legs and a mouthful of sharp teeth. Its roar shook the trees, sending birds scattering into the night sky. The smaller beasts attacked first, surrounding Ryan and Zyra. Zyra swung her glowing blade in wide arcs, cutting down 2 at once. Her movements were powerful, but her injured shoulder slowed her slightly. Ryan fought differently. He used the terrain to his advantage, luring the creatures into narrow spaces and tripping them with his ropes. He struck with quick, precise blows rather than brute force. The two of them moved in a rhythm, covering each other's blind spots. But the towering beast was still advancing. It crushed trees beneath its massive feet, roaring in anger. "We cannot fight that head-on," Ryan shouted over the noise. Zyra's eyes burned with determination. "Then we strike its weakness. Every creature has one." Ryan studied the beast as it moved. He noticed that the glowing plates on its chest shifted when it roared, leaving a brief opening near its throat. "I see it," Ryan said. "We need to draw it into the trap area." Together, they ran toward the section of the jungle where Ryan had set up earlier traps. The smaller beasts chased them, but Zyra turned and cut them down while Ryan focused on preparing the final mechanism. The towering creature charged after them. When it stepped on a hidden snare, a massive net made of thick vines sprang upward, tangling its front legs. It stumbled, roaring in frustration. "Now!" Ryan yelled. Zyra leaped forward with incredible strength, her blade aimed at the creature's exposed throat. With a powerful strike, she pierced through the weak point. The beast let out a final roar before collapsing to the ground, shaking the earth beneath them. Breathing heavily, Zyra landed beside Ryan. Her armor was scratched, her face streaked with dirt and sweat, but her eyes were bright with victory. "You saw its weakness when I did not," Zyra admitted. "You think like a hunter, not just a fighter." Ryan shrugged modestly. "Observation saves lives." Charging in without a plan only creates needless risk. Zyra stared at him for a moment, her pride battling with the new respect growing inside her. "Perhaps your way has merit," she finally said. They rested briefly, but the night was not over. Ryan examined the glowing patterns on the creature's hide. These creatures were not hunting by chance. Something is driving them toward us. I think the wildlands are more dangerous than your people realized. Zyra nodded slowly. If that is true, this test is not only about proving strength. It may be about survival for both our peoples. Ryan packed his tools, ready to move. We need to keep going. Dawn is still hours away. As they walked through the jungle, Zyra moved closer to Ryan, no longer rushing ahead on her own. Her steps matched his, and for the first time, she asked for his opinion about the path they should take. "You are different from other humans I have seen," she said quietly. "When I first met you, I thought you were weak, like the rest of your kind. But you are something else." Ryan glanced at her but said nothing. He simply focused on leading them safely through the maze of twisted trees and hidden dangers. As the mist parted, they reached a high cliff overlooking a wide valley. In the distance, faint lights flickered, strange, unnatural lights. "That is not part of the test," Zyra said, her voice low. "Something else is out there." Ryan studied the lights carefully. Then our challenge just became much more complicated. Zyra tightened her grip on her blade. She no longer saw Ryan as just a human engineer. He was now her partner in survival. And as the night stretched on, she began to wonder if she had underestimated not only his strength but the strength of all humans. Together, they descended into the valley, unaware of the new dangers waiting for them. The valley below was dark and full of mist, but strange blue lights flickered in the distance, moving like tiny flames. Ryan and Zyra crouched behind a cluster of large rocks, watching carefully. The jungle was silent here, as if every creature had fled from this place. Even the wind seemed afraid to pass through. Zyra's sharp eyes narrowed. "These lights are not natural. I have seen something like this before, during border wars on my world. Machines. Scouts." Ryan studied the patterns of the flickering lights. They were too steady to be random, and the way they moved suggested control. "If they are machines," he said quietly, "then someone built them. That means we are not the only ones here tonight." Zyra's grip tightened on her glowing blade. "My people's warriors were supposed to control this area. If there are enemies here, they broke our agreement. Or maybe," Ryan said, "the test you were given was never just about proving strength. It could have been a way to send you into danger without warning." Zyra frowned. The idea troubled her, but she pushed it aside. "Whatever the reason, we must deal with it. If those machines are hostile, we destroy them." Ryan shook his head. "Not yet. If we rush in without knowing how many there are, we'll be overwhelmed. We need to observe and plan." Zyra was used to direct action. Waiting and watching felt unnatural to her, but she remembered how Ryan's strategies had saved them before. With a slow nod, she agreed. They crept through the mist, moving from rock to rock, staying low and silent. As they drew closer, the shapes of the machines became clear. Small, spider-like drones with glowing cores scuttled across the ground. They were repairing a large, broken device in the center of the valley. The device looked like a beacon, its spire reaching upward, pulsing with light. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "That beacon is a signal. If they finish repairing it, they could call for reinforcements or something worse." Zyra whispered, then we destroy it before they succeed. Agreed, Ryan said, but we must do it smartly. He began scanning the area, noting the positions of the drones and the paths they followed. Zyra watched him with growing respect. He moved like a hunter, not a soldier, seeing things she had missed. Finally, Ryan pointed to a narrow path between two boulders. We'll lure the drones there. The rocks will funnel them into a small space. I'll set traps, and you strike when they're distracted. Zyra's eyes gleamed with excitement. A perfect ambush. Very well, human. Show me these traps of yours. Working quickly, Ryan used vines, stones, and sharpened sticks to build hidden snares. Zyra marveled at his skill. She had always relied on advanced technology, but Ryan's simple tools were effective and silent. When everything was ready, Zyra deliberately stepped into view, drawing the drone's attention. She moved like lightning, her glowing blade cutting through two machines before retreating down the narrow path. The remaining drones chased her, their sharp legs clicking against the ground. As they entered the trap zone, Ryan pulled a hidden rope. A weighted log swung down, smashing several drones at once. The rest stumbled into pits covered by leaves, where sharpened stakes ended their pursuit. Zyra turned, striking the last few with swift, precise blows. When the battle ended, the path was littered with broken machines. Well done, Zyra said, breathing hard but smiling slightly. Your mind is as sharp as any blade. Ryan nodded. We still have the beacon to deal with. That was only the first step. They approached the device carefully. Its pulsing light grew faster as they neared, and a low hum filled the air. This energy, Zyra said, her voice tense, is not from my people. Someone else has been here, perhaps for a long time. Ryan examined the base of the beacon. I can disable it, but I need time. Cover me. Zyra positioned herself between Ryan and the jungle, ready to fight if more drones appeared. As Ryan worked, carefully pulling apart wires and glowing crystals, she glanced back at him. You risk much for someone who does not need to, she said quietly. Why? This is my test, not yours. Ryan didn't look up. If you fail, your people leave. Without your protection, my colony will face these dangers alone. I'm not fighting only for you, Zyra. I'm fighting for everyone. Zyra felt a strange warmth in her chest at his words. She had always believed strength was about power and victory. But Ryan's strength came from his desire to protect others, even when it was dangerous. The beacon suddenly flared, and a sharp alarm rang out. They know we're here, Ryan warned. We have to move. With a final twist of his tool, he disabled the core. The beacon's light faded, but heavy footsteps echoed from the mist. Larger drones were coming. This way. Zyra shouted, leading Ryan toward higher ground. They ran through the mist, leaping over roots and dodging fallen trees. The drones gave chase, their glowing eyes like red stars in the darkness. At the top of a ridge, Zyra turned and struck down two pursuers, while Ryan pushed a heavy boulder down the slope, crushing several more. Finally, the jungle fell silent again. They were breathing hard, exhausted but alive. Zyra turned to Ryan, her silver markings glowing faintly in the moonlight. You saved me twice now, and you saved this valley from whatever those machines were calling. I was wrong about you, human. I thought you were weak. Ryan gave a small, tired smile. Strength takes many forms. For the first time, Zyra bowed her head slightly in respect. Perhaps my people have much to learn from yours. As dawn began to lighten the sky, they stood side by side on the ridge. The test was no longer just about survival or proving worth. Now, it was about trust. And both of them knew that together, they had become far stronger than either could be alone. The first light of dawn touched the tops of the jungle trees, painting the mist in soft gold. Ryan and Zyra stood on the ridge, both tired but determined. Their bodies bore scratches, bruises, and dirt from the night's battles, but their spirits were sharper than ever. "We survived the night," Ryan said, looking toward the distant horizon where the colony waited. "But I have a feeling it isn't over yet." Zyra tightened her grip on her glowing blade. "You are correct. My people will not accept our victory unless we return with proof. And if they sent me into these lands knowing about the machines, they may have planned one last trial for us." As if answering her words, a deep roar rolled through the valley below. Birds scattered from the treetops, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Something big is coming. Bigger than anything we faced last night." From the mist emerged a massive creature unlike any they had seen before. It had 4 muscular legs, each ending in claws that could tear through steel. Its body was covered in thick armored plates, and glowing lines of energy ran along its sides like veins. A crest of sharp horns rose from its head, and its single, glowing eye fixed on them with deadly focus. Zyra's face hardened. "An ancient guardian beast," she said in awe. "My people tell stories of these creatures. They are said to be protectors of the wild lands, nearly impossible to defeat." The creature let out a roar so loud it shook the trees. Then it charged up the slope toward them. "Run or fight?" Ryan asked quickly. "Fight," Zyra said without hesitation. "If we run, it will follow us to the colony. This ends here." Ryan nodded, already scanning the terrain. "We can't match its strength. We'll need to outthink it." The creature swung one massive claw, forcing them to dive aside. Zyra rolled to her feet and slashed with her blade, but the strike only scraped against its armored hide. "It's too strong," she shouted. "No," Ryan said, studying its movements carefully. "Look for a pattern. Every creature has a weakness." The guardian roared again and stomped, creating a shockwave that knocked Zyra off balance. Ryan pulled her back just before the beast's claws struck the ground where she had fallen. "You saved me again," she said, breathing heavily. "We save each other," Ryan replied firmly. "Now focus." As the beast charged once more, Ryan noticed something unusual. When it roared, the glowing lines on its chest shifted slightly, revealing a small, unarmored spot near its throat. "There," he shouted. "When it roars, its armor opens. That's our target." Zyra's eyes lit up with determination. "Then I will strike it while you distract it?" Ryan nodded. "I'll draw its attention. Be ready." He ran to the side, throwing stones and shouting loudly. The beast turned toward him, its massive claws swiping at the ground where he had been seconds earlier. Ryan dodged between trees, leading it away from Zyra. While the creature focused on Ryan, Zyra leaped onto a nearby boulder, positioning herself above its path. When it roared in anger, the weak spot appeared. "Now!" Ryan shouted. Zyra jumped with all her strength, driving her blade deep into the glowing opening. The beast let out a deafening scream and thrashed wildly. Zyra held on, her muscles straining as she twisted the blade. "Hold it steady," she yelled. Ryan grabbed his rope and looped it around one of the beast's legs, pulling with all his strength to keep it from shaking Zyra off. The beast stumbled, and Zyra pushed deeper, finally piercing its heart. With a final, echoing roar, the guardian collapsed to the ground. The earth shook, and then there was silence. Zyra slid down its side, landing beside Ryan. She was breathing hard, her armor cracked and smoking from the battle. "You did it," Ryan said with a small smile. "No," Zyra corrected, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We did it. Without your plan, I would have fallen to this beast." Ryan nodded. "And without your strength, my plan would not have worked. We're better together." As the sun rose higher, they took a piece of the creature's glowing armor as proof of their victory. "This will show my people what we faced," Zyra said. "They cannot deny the truth." Ryan glanced toward the horizon. "Let's return to the colony. The sooner we get there, the sooner this test will be over." On the way back, Zyra walked beside him rather than ahead. She asked him questions about his colony, his people, and why humans chose to build instead of conquer. Ryan answered patiently. "We value growth and protection. Fighting is only a last resort. To us, true strength is making a place where others can live safely." Zyra listened carefully, her expression thoughtful. "My people see strength as power and fear. But perhaps there is another way. You fight not for glory, but for those you care about. That is a kind of strength I never understood before." As they neared the edge of the wild lands, Zyra paused. "When we return, some of my warriors will challenge you. They will not accept that a human and a Caliph fought as equals. They will see you as a threat." Ryan met her gaze calmly. "Then I'll face them if I must. But I won't let your people or mine fall into conflict. We've come too far for that." Zyra's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. "I will stand with you, Ryan. You have proven yourself not only to me, but to the wild lands themselves. Now we will prove it to everyone else." Together, they continued their journey, carrying the glowing proof of their victory and the bond they had forged through trust, courage, and teamwork. The final challenge had been defeated, but the true test uniting two very different peoples was only just beginning. The sky above the colony was brightening as Ryan and Zyra approached from the edge of the wild lands. Birds returned to the trees, and the mist lifted from the fields, revealing familiar shapes of houses, farms, and fences. The humans who had waited anxiously all night began to notice movement in the distance. Mara, the colony leader, was the first to run forward. "Ryan. Zyra. You made it." Her voice carried relief and amazement. Zyra held the piece of glowing armor from the guardian beast high for all to see. "We survived the night. This is proof," she announced. Her voice was strong, but there was a new humility in it that the colony had never seen before. The crowd of humans gasped and cheered. Some had doubted Ryan's courage, and many had feared the worst. Now, seeing him walk beside the powerful alien warrior, they understood that the engineer was far more than a simple human. Several Caliph warriors followed Zyra. They were tall and proud, their armor polished and weapons ready. Some looked impressed by the human beside their princess, while others scowled, unable to accept that one of their strongest warriors had relied on a human's intelligence and courage to survive. Zyra turned to face her people. "This human, Ryan, has proven himself not only in combat but in survival. He is equal to any of us." A murmur ran through the Caliph. One of the older warriors stepped forward. "Princess, he is only human. How can you compare him to us?" Zyra's voice grew firm. "Strength is not measured by size or power alone. Courage, wisdom, and the ability to protect others are just as important. Ryan has all these qualities. The older warrior hesitated, then slowly nodded. Others followed, and soon, the Caliph warriors lowered their weapons in respect. Mara stepped forward and placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. You have done more than survive the night. You have changed how they see us. You have given our colony hope and protection we could not have imagined. Ryan shook his head modestly. I did not do it alone. Zyra's strength made this possible. We worked together. Zyra glanced at him and smiled. Yes, we worked together. That is why we returned alive and victorious. Some of the younger Caliph warriors began asking Ryan questions about human tools and strategies. They wanted to understand how a being without his physical power could be so clever and effective. Zyra encouraged them to listen carefully. Learn from him, she said. There is much we can gain by combining our strengths. That evening, a council was held between the humans and Caliph. Plans were made to reinforce the colony's defenses, repair damaged structures, and create alliances for future protection. Zyra remained beside Ryan, no longer the distant and proud warrior he had first met. In a quiet moment, she spoke softly. When I first saw you, I thought you could not handle me. I was certain you were weak, as humans are often seen. Ryan looked at her, his calm eyes meeting hers. And now, he asked. Zyra's eyes glimmered. Now, I see that I could not handle you. Not your strength, not your courage, not your mind. You are unlike anyone I have ever known. Ryan smiled faintly. Strength takes many forms. We have proven that together, we are stronger than any challenge alone. Zyra nodded, feeling a deep respect and warmth she had never felt toward another being. She realized that her pride had made her blind to the value of patience, planning, and quiet courage. As the sun set over the colony, Ryan and Zyra walked together among the humans and Caliph, talking and planning. The humans had learned that strength was more than just muscle, and the Caliph had learned that wisdom and teamwork were just as important as power. That night, Zyra stood atop a small hill overlooking the colony. She felt a sense of peace she had never known in battlefields of her home world. Beside her, Ryan watched the stars beginning to shine. You changed how I see humans, she admitted. Perhaps my people can learn to trust them too. And you changed how I see the Caliph, Ryan said. We are not so different when we work together. Zyra turned toward him, her expression softening. I will make sure my people understand that. You are not only brave, Ryan. You are honorable. And that is rare in any world. For the first time, Zyra felt that human and Caliph could share a future built on respect, courage, and understanding. She realized that tests and battles were not always about proving who was strongest, but about learning to value what was inside each being. The colony slept peacefully that night, guarded by humans and Caliph alike. And for Ryan and Zyra, the journey was only beginning. A bond had been formed that neither strength nor pride could break. They had faced the wild lands, the beasts, and each other. Now they faced the future together, stronger than either could have imagined. As the stars twinkled above, Zyra whispered quietly to Ryan, You are my equal. Perhaps someday, you will be more than that. Ryan nodded, understanding the depth of her words. He felt the weight of the night's trials, the battles fought, and the trust earned. Together, they had proven that unity, courage, and respect could overcome even the greatest challenges. The colony would never forget this night, and neither would they. The test was over, but a new story, one of alliance, friendship, and mutual respect, was just beginning. The morning sun rose over the colony, casting warm light on the fields and houses. Ryan and Zyra stood together at the center of the gathering. Humans and Caliph warriors had come together, their eyes filled with curiosity and cautious respect. The night's tests had proven more than survival, they had shown what cooperation could achieve. Mara stepped forward, her voice strong and welcoming. Today, we witness not only the return of our defenders, but the beginning of a new understanding. Ryan and Zyra have shown us that strength is not only power or speed. It is courage, wisdom, and the ability to work together. Zyra's silver armor reflected the sunlight as she addressed both humans and Caliph. My people have long believed that only the strongest deserve respect. But tonight, we have learned that courage and intelligence matter just as much. Humans are not weak. They are clever, patient, and brave. We have much to learn from each other. The Caliph warriors shifted uneasily at first, but many nodded in agreement. Some of the older, proud warriors still looked skeptical, but they could not deny what had happened. The humans, for their part, stood taller, proud of their engineer and defender. Ryan stepped forward, modest yet confident. We are grateful for Zyra's help and for her people's strength. Together, we can protect this colony and grow stronger. We can build a future where humans and Caliph work as equals. Zyra glanced at him and smiled. We will not only work together, Ryan. We will stand together. You have proven yourself not only in battle, but in leadership. My people will see the value of humans through you. A young Caliph warrior raised a hand. Princess, if humans can survive your tests and work with us, will they also be allowed to train and fight alongside our warriors? Zyra's gaze softened. Yes. Those who prove themselves through courage and wisdom, like Ryan, will be our allies and partners. Strength alone is not enough. We need hearts and minds as well. Ryan watched quietly as Zyra spoke. He realized that this moment was bigger than any single test. It was the start of unity between two very different species. For the first time, he felt the full weight of what he had accomplished. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Zyra walked beside Ryan toward the outer fields of the colony. She looked around at the humans rebuilding fences and working together with Caliph warriors to repair structures. There was laughter, cooperation, and a sense of hope that had not existed before. You changed more than just my opinion, Ryan, Zyra said quietly. You changed the future of your people and mine. I used to believe that only the strongest deserved respect. Now I see that strength can come from understanding and courage as well. Ryan looked at her, his calm expression steady. We all have something to teach each other. That is how we grow stronger. Zyra paused, studying him carefully. Her silver eyes reflected both pride and a new kind of admiration. I thought I could not be impressed by a human, she said. But now I see that I cannot handle you. Your courage, your patience, and your wisdom, it is unlike anything I have faced. Ryan smiled faintly. And I have learned that strength is not only physical. You showed me what it means to fight with honor and determination. For a long moment, they walked in silence, feeling the connection that had grown between them over the past night. It was not only trust and respect, it was something deeper, a bond formed from facing danger together and learning from each other. Later, they reached the highest hill overlooking the colony. From this point, they could see humans and Caliph working side by side, sharing knowledge, tools, and techniques. The fields were repaired, new traps were being set along the borders, and both species were learning from each other. Zyra placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. This is only the beginning, she said. Our peoples can achieve great things together. You will lead not only humans, but a new alliance between us. Ryan nodded. And we will do it together, Zyra. Strength alone is not enough. Unity, courage, and wisdom will guide us. She looked at him with a gentle smile. I see now that I misjudged humans. You are far stronger than I imagined. And I believe that together, we can face anything that comes. The suns climbed higher, bathing the colony in light. Humans and Caliph worked side by side, their laughter and conversation filling the air. The bond between species was growing stronger every day, and it was clear that this new alliance was built on respect, trust, and shared courage. Zyra turned to Ryan one last time before heading back to her people. Thank you, she said softly. Not only for surviving the night, but for showing me the true meaning of strength. Ryan's calm smile met hers. The night taught us both. And now, together, we can protect our home and build a future worth living for both our peoples. As they watched the colony thrive, humans and Caliph alike learned that strength was not measured by muscle or weapons, but by courage, heart, and the bonds they shared. The night's trials were over, but a new story of alliance, respect, and hope had only just begun. And for Ryan and Zyra, this was not just the start of a partnership, but the beginning of a future where two worlds could grow stronger together.